Chapter 2 News. Brisbane Hospital. Chilli was in a hospital bed. She was not looking any better than she did last time. She lost more weight, and her color was starting to fade away. She was in a deep sleep, but a sudden thirst hit her hard, and when she woke up, she had a huge headache on the right side of her head. She first saw that she was on the hospital bed. Then she looked at her left hand. It was handcuffed to the rail. She was confused on how she got there in the first place. "Morning, sunshine," said Bandit in the corner of the room with a blank, emotionless face, sitting on a chair. "Actually, I should be saying good evening because it's 12 o'clock. "Bandit, what's going on? Why am I in a hospital? And why am I in handcuffs?" she questioned him. That question surprised him. How could she have not known? "Chilli, you yelled at Bluey, told me to piss off, and held a knife to Bingo's throat. Don't you remember any of that?" he asked, feeling confused. "What are you talking about? I did not do that." "But you did. I saw you. What do you remember?" he questioned her. "All I remember was cutting carrots, and it's all kind of foggy from there," she answered. "Might be because I hit you with the hockey stick," Bandit said, looking at the door, trying to avoid eye contact with her. "You did what?" she yelled. "Like I said, you tried to cut Bingo's throat. You almost even told her how she—"
"Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Saylor. My name is Sean,"
said the doctor, who was a German Shepherd. He had monochrome fur on his body, with a black patch on his back.
"I have found out what has been going on with Mrs. Saylor, but it's devastating news."
Stripe was just lying down on the couch, looking for a way to get a rash off his bum that he has had for weeks now. So far, nothing that he hasn't already tried came up on his phone. "I swear to God, if I don't find a remedy for my rash, I'm gonna scratch my ass until it bleeds," he said as he scratched his bum. Stripe got off the couch to see who was ringing at the door. It was his brother Bandit with Bluey and Bingo. Bingo had her hands around her neck. "Oh, hey brother, how's it going?" "Are you alright, Bandit?" questioned Stripe. Not really. I was hoping you could watch the girls until I come back from the hospital to see Chilli," Bandit said calmly. "Yeah, of course, but why is Chilli at the hospital?" Stripe couldn't even finish a sentence. Bandit started walking away to his car, not even making eye contact with his brother. "Bandit? Bandit! You have to at least tell me." Bandit drove away. "I swear he gets on my nerves sometimes," said Stripe. Uncle Stripe, do you have any band-aids?" questioned Bingo as she held her neck. Yeah, I have a few band-aids. Do you have a scratch on your neck?" Uncle Stripe said, kneeling down to get a better look at her. Something like that," Bingo said as she revealed her neck to Uncle Stripe. It wasn't a deep cut, but a clean cut around her neck, which tore apart a few veins and caused her to bleed slowly. "Oh shit!" said Stripe as he fell back almost onto Bluey. We have to get you some bandages and hydrogen peroxide, he stated as he got up and grabbed Bingo by her sides, taking her inside. Bluey followed behind them. Trixie, get the medical kit! Bingo's bleeding! Trixie then walks into the living room, curious to see who was at the door. Stripe? Who was at the... Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go get the medical kit, Trixie stated. Muffin and Sauce were on the staircase, about to go down to see who was at the door. Trixie got the medical kit from the kitchen and ran to their living room where Stripe had Bingo in his arms. Stripe, hold her up. She will not like the hydrogen peroxide, Trixie said as she put the liquid on a small towel. Wait, what's hydrogen peroxide, Uncle Stripe? As he held her up by the shoulders in front of Trixie. Let's just say you're not gonna like it, sweetie. Bingo yelled as she tried to wiggle her way out of Stripe's grip. Stop hurting her, Aunt Trixie! Please stop it! Yelled Bluey as she tried pulling on her aunt's leg to get her away from Bingo. This is necessary, Bluey. Go to your cousins and stay upstairs, she said to her young niece. She got her leg out of Bluey's grasp as Bingo kept on screaming from the pain of the peroxide. It was scaring Bluey too much, so she ran upstairs where her cousins were, trying to figure out what was going on. Bluey, what's happening to Bingo? Asked Muffin. Muffin was being hugged by her sister. She did not know what was going on. All Bluey did was run past them and went to the front bathroom, where she locked the door and ran to the corner, where she curled into a ball and started crying. Her cousins went to the door and knocked, still curious about what was going on. Bluey, why did you lock yourself in the bathroom? What's going on? Why is Bingo screaming? Questioned Muffin. Go away, Muffin! Bluey cried as she folded her ears behind her back, trying to block her voice. Whee! Muffin yelled. This was stressing the blue healer out. Her mom just yelled at her. She doesn't know what's going on, and Bingo is downstairs, yelling out of pain and agony, and her cousin would not leave her alone. I said, piss off, you overweight nutbag! She didn't know what piss even means. She just heard her mom say it as a way to show off her anger, and now she was doing the same. Muffin stopped trying to talk to Bluey, so the blue healer lied on the floor and kept on crying uncontrollably. Bingo was in the living room. She had medical tape on her neck. Tears were still running down her face. The peroxide felt like fire on her wound. As soon as Trixie came into the living room, the little red healer scooted to the left corner of the couch, getting away from her. She was terrified of her now. She never thought her own aunt would ever try to harm her. No, it's okay, Bingo. I don't have the peroxide anymore. I brought you ice cream to try and cheer you up, Trixie said. She showed the little ice cream logo on the cup. Bingo was still hesitant towards Trixie, but she let her sit by her. Trixie then gave her the ice cream. Bingo took a spoonful to the mouth to try and cheer herself up. How does it taste, Bingo? I bet it's really good. It's chocolate chowder fudge, Trixie said, trying to lighten the mood, but Bingo just scooted away from her. This caused Trixie to feel bad. She was just trying to help her wound, which also made her question, how did she even got in the first place? She knew Bingo wouldn't talk to her for a while, so she began to walk upstairs to Muffin's room to ask Bluey why were they dropped off on such short notice. Hey Bluey, I was wondering why? Trixie looked in her kid's room where Muffin was sitting on a beanbag crying, with Socks by her side. Why are you crying, Muffin? Asked Trixie. Bluey ran off into the bathroom and called me a bad word, all because I asked her what was going on, Muffin explained. Socks was trying her best to cheer her up. Trixie then left to go into the bathroom and knocked on the door to see if Bluey was still there. "I told you to piss off, you fatty!" "What the? You do not disrespect me in my own house, Bluey. I'm coming into that bathroom," she yelled at the door. She got the pin from the top of the door and unlocked it. Trixie knew she was gaining weight, and it always bothered her when someone mentioned it to her. "Bluey, you better have a good She paused. Bluey was still crying on the floor. Trixie went up to comfort her. She hugged her close, and Bluey embraced that hug. It was the only thing that was making her feel comfortable in this horrible situation she was in. All the crying left her tired. Her eyes were a little red, with all the salt from the tears. She had never felt so stressed out in her life. "Bingo's okay, Bluey. I'm sorry if I scared you. I had to put the liquid in her neck to stop the bleeding. Do you forgive me for scaring you?" Trixie asked, still holding her niece. All Bluey did was nod. "If we go to the living room and I give you some ice cream, will you tell us what happened to Bingo's neck?" she asked. It took Bluey a minute to decide whether or not to tell her what happened earlier in her house, but then she slowly nodded, letting her know that she would tell them. Bluey followed her to the living room, where she saw Bingo eating the ice cream. Bingo saw her sister and quickly ran up to hug her. "Are you okay, Bingo?" Bluey asked. Bingo was quiet for a few seconds. Bluey noticed a medical tape on her neck and tried to touch it, but Bingo grabbed Bluey's hand and shook her head at her. "Okay, girls, could you please tell me what happened? How did Bingo cut her neck like that?" Trixie asked as she sat on the couch in front of them. Bluey and Bingo decided to sit down on the carpet. They didn't even know where to start, and it was quiet for a moment. Trixie grabbed what was left of Bingo's ice cream on the couch and gave it to Bluey. Bluey took it and looked at it for a second. Then she broke the silence. "It all started back at home. Mom was making chicken soup, and I asked her if the food was ready. She took a scoop of ice cream and put it in her mouth. She said it was almost ready, and then she yelled out in pain. Then Dad went to see if she was okay. But she yelled bad words at him, and I went into the kitchen and asked him if they were squabbling. She yelled at me and said that this was a bloody argument." "Did Chilli really say that?" asked Stripe. "Where have you been?" Trixie questioned him. "I was trying to call Bandit, but he never picked up," he responded. "What happened next, Bluey?" Stripe sat down on the couch, intrigued by his niece's story. Bluey hesitated for a second, but then put another scoop of ice cream in her mouth to try and calm herself down. "I ran away from the kitchen to my room, and I hid underneath my sheets. Dad came in and told me that Mom was acting strange. She barely eats, her fur color is starting to fade, and she drinks a lot of water now. He said that he was going to try and bring her to the hospital, but then he heard her yell at Bingo. She told her that she was a retard," finished Bingo. Everyone stared at her. At first she was mute, and now she started to talk again. It was surprising to say the least. "Mama called me a retard. She ran into the kitchen and grabbed a knife. She grabbed my arm and put me into a corner. She had the knife near my neck and told me how I didn't look anything like..." She started to cry a little. The idea of her mom saying that just broke her heart. "That I don't look anything like her, and that she should have had an abortion. But they didn't let her, and she never loved me." Bingo started to cry again, but Bluey stopped it by hugging her. Bluey then finished the story. She took one last scoop of her ice cream. "He said that he was going to the hospital where Mom was put in. I asked him why Mom was at the hospital, and he said that he knocked her out with her own hockey stick, that she was going to kill Bingo." Stripe and Trixie were both awestruck for a few minutes. They couldn't believe it. Chilli went crazy and tried to kill her own daughter. What surprised Stripe was Bandit hitting her with a hockey stick. His brother would never in a million years hit Chilli, but considering that his own daughter was in danger, made it more believable. Trixie was in her own thoughts, and she may have found out what was wrong with Chilli, but she hoped to be incorrect. "Hey Bluey, how about you two go up with Muffin and Socks and play with them while we get dinner ready for you?" Trixie suggested. I don't think Muffin wants to play with me after what I said to her, Bluey said, still hugging her sister. Oh, she'll forgive you. Don't worry about it, Trixie said. Okay, Aunt Trixie, said Bluey. Bluey and Bingo then both left the room. As they headed upstairs, the living room was now quiet. Trixie put her hand on Stripe's leg. Is there something wrong, honey? He asked her. I think I know what's wrong with Chilli, Stripe, she said, looking down. Well, what is it? Stripe, I think she has.
Mr. Hiller, your wife has cancer.